Since when did Islamophobia become cool? Since when did being a Muslim suddenly become such a bad thing? I hear the word Muslim being thrown around the US government all the time, like it's an insult or something. I even hear our President Barack Hussein Obama being called a Muslim because his middle name is Hussein, or because he was raised by a Muslim father in Kenya for a time. And even if he was Muslim, would that really be a bad thing? Would that really change the kind of president that he is? And since when did demonizing Muslims equal more votes? And why should it? Islamophobia didn't just start with the rise of Donald J. Trump and his rhetoric. It is a problem that has been steadily growing in the United States government for over the last decade, without much notice or care from the American public. So why are we suddenly acting all surprised when there are talks about banning Muslims or registering them as possible terrorists? It is sad what we have come to as Americans. But honestly, it is not all that surprising when we are raised in an environment of fear and fear-based rhetoric, especially surrounding Muslims. Islamophobia in the US government didn't just start with 9/11 either. I remember waking up that morning, along with a lot of other kids in the Middle East. I was in the 7th grade. I was getting ready for school and I was sitting down for breakfast when my mom turned on the TV. I saw the first plane hit. George Bush was mad. He said that we had just been attacked, but that we were not at war with Islam. But he flipped, just like two sides of a coin. He said that we had to go and get the bad guys. He said they hate us and that they want to kill us Americans. So good old George, along with Congress, gathered up the troops and said we had to go and get the bad guys. So we went into Afghanistan and Iraq. He said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and that Saddam Hussein wanted to use them to kill Americans. So we went in there. We killed their democratically elected leader, bombed their citizens, men, women, and children. The US government left a trail of terror of their own. No weapons of mass destruction were ever found. Turns out the Iraqis were innocent. George Bush said that they hated us. And that is what he wanted us to believe. But they were innocent people and they did not deserve to die. Well, no shit, they hate us. When we are bombing their families, destroying their lives, destroying their country, and killing their democratically elected leaders, well, no shit, they hate us. It has nothing to do with their religion of Islam, and it is not only the Republicans that are to blame for this shit. The Democrats are not so innocent either. A lot of them voted for the war in Iraq. Among other things, like two sides of a coin, they are all the same. When it comes to Palestine and Israel, the government wants us to believe that poor little Israel is just defending itself from mean old Hamas. We give millions and billions of dollars every year to Israel because they are just defending themselves, right? Well, what if I told you that the Israelis were not so innocent? What if I told you that it was actually the other way around and it was the Palestinians that needed to defend themselves? The Palestinians that are innocent and being treated like vermin. What if I said it was the Palestinians what if I said it was the Palestinians that were being killed, treated less than dirt, killed, beaten, locked up, having their homes destroyed to make room for more Israelis so that they could settle there and have their families there? And what is paying for that? Our hard-earned paid tax money. So, for what crime? Why are the Palestinians being displaced from their home? Because they were born Palestinian instead of Israeli? For being born on the wrong side of the apartheid is not what the government wants us to believe, but it is the goddamn truth. In Syria, due to the fight on ISIS, there is a refugee crisis. It is happening due to bombings and war. This is one of the worst refugee crises that have happened in history. It is estimated that somewhere around 10.9 million people have been displaced, fleeing from their homes because they are being bombed. Not by choice. They never chose this life. They never chose to come to America and leave the only home that they have ever known. But because they are Muslim, the American government is quick to decide and quick to assume that they want something else. They are quick to assume that ISIS has infiltrated the population when they know nothing about these people. They know nothing about their lives. all because they are Muslim instead of Christian. If they were Christian, it would be a whole nother story. We would not even be having this talk right now, I don't think. The war in Yemen, which has gone pretty much unnoticed in the news, has caused many to lose their lives, not just from bombs, but from starvation as well. Yet it is largely not discussed. The children going hungry every day because they have no food, they have no water. Mothers can't even nurse their children because they are so dehydrated and malnourished. I see the stories every day of more innocent children, more innocent people hurting, dying every day from wars like this, that the US is at least partially responsible for. Things haven't been much better for Muslims in America either, with the creation of invasive laws such as the Patriot Act and no-fly list. These things mainly target Muslims, and we all know that. I understand that not every elected government official is responsible for this, but this has gone on for way too long. There has been a lot of propaganda and stereotypes put out there about Muslims, put out there by our government, which has largely not helped. In fact, some of the fear against Muslims, in fact, some use the fear against Muslims for their own political gain, because they want us to believe that Muslims are foreign, even if they're not. There can be Muslims born in America just like anywhere else. Islam is a religion, not a race. That they believe in jihad or Sharia law without even knowing what any of that is. That they hate Americans or America. This is all bullshit. They want us to believe that Muslims want to kill us as Americans. I have heard it all, seen it all. But it's all propaganda. A mosque burned, another family killed, just another day in America, right? Is this freedom? Is this really the freedom we want? Is this really worth the price? No, it's not. And for who? Freedom for who? I may not be Muslim, but I am human. I may not have experienced Islamophobia, but a lot of my friends are Muslim, and they do exist, and they mean the world to me. And I would be ashamed of my people if anything was to happen to them. I would feel terrible. I'm on the outside looking in, but we have two things in common here. We are Americans, and we are human, and we are proud, Muslim or not.